So you want to make more money with YouTube ads, you want to scale your business, but you don't know exactly how to go about doing it. In this video, I'm going to walk you through these specific things to help you do exactly that. Number one, the 3 stages of scaling and why if you skip even one of these stages, you'll literally kill your ads performance. Number 2, the only metrics you should be looking at and how to make data-driven decisions to get more performance out of your campaigns. Number 3, the 80-20 rule and how to win big with Google's algorithm to continue scaling. Number 4, horizontal scaling versus vertical scaling and which one you should use at different stages in your journey. And number 5, building your in-house creative production pipeline. This is literally the key to scaling past thousands of dollars a day in ad spend, even 10K a day and beyond. Without that, none of the media buying stuff I'm going to show you even matters. And this is exactly why there's 2 types of Chad media buyers. The nerd virgin, okay, which might be you if you're watching this and you're like, dude, I'm trying to do everything on my ad account, but it's not working, versus the Chad media buyer, okay, aka what we call the ad man. And this is who I originally was when I was first working on the campaigns that I used to do when I was a media buyer, thinking that I was God. But I'll quickly show you why it's not really the media buying that does the magic. It's a lot more than that, okay? So if you're someone who's in the ad account right now, maybe you're a business owner and you're like, dude, I don't know what the heck I'm doing. I don't know what I'm pushing, buttons I should be pushing. Like, I don't even know what I'm doing and if it's working. Like, trust me, stay with me this video. I'll teach you everything. And then if you're someone who's just like spending money, hand over fist, well, you know what I'm about to tell you, and you'll probably still learn some things about this as well. So who am I? Why should you listen? My name is Brian Moncada. I'm the founder of adspend.com. If you're new here, I would encourage you to press subscribe. I post 2 videos every single week showing you, as a business owner, how to make more money and more impact using YouTube ads and scale by adding a second traffic channel instead of relying on just one like Facebook or organic. And right now we spend about $2 million a month on YouTube ads. So this is not fluff or theory. This is us doing this in real time for business owners just like yourself who want to scale past multiple 7 and even 8 figures and beyond. So first things you got to understand, okay? Media buying will not save you if your business basically looks like this, okay? And I learned this concept from Alex Becker a couple years ago. And long story short, a lot of people, including myself back then, thought that all we needed to focus on was ads. You probably right now are thinking, I just need the best ad. If I can have the best ad with the best hook, with the best creative, I'll just make a bunch of money. It's the ads that are the problem. But you fail to realize that the ads that you're actually creating and running traffic to are being sent to this convoluted, janky, outdated, rusty funnel and system, which isn't even lined up properly. And because it's not lined up properly and efficient and actually in line, meaning that it's actually working well together, the funnel, the emails, the sales process, the follow-up mechanisms, right? These different pieces after the ad actually takes place when someone clicks, your ads are failing to actually work. They're not converting because you're literally spending all your time trying to optimize this thing right here, but yet your funnel sucks, your sales team sucks, there's no even email automations active, or if they are, they're just generic templates that you copy and pasted from some coaching program you bought from 3 years ago when it was actually working back then, but the trends have quickly outgrown them, and you're expecting it to work. And there's no reason why that's gonna work because you're using outdated techniques and your business is literally set up for shit, okay? And excuse my language here, but you gotta understand that this is more than just running ads. This is actually scaling a business here, which is very, very, very hard to do for most people that just don't have the actual mental bandwidth, which is not you, obviously, because you're a business owner. You're smarter than most people. You're actually wanting to scale. You probably have ads running right now, but a lot of people think it's just this right here. Okay, so I got to remind them, including myself sometimes, right? You got to actually have a streamlined system, okay? If your funnel in business looks like this, it's never going to work. The ads are never going to convert. To make scaling easy for you, you should have a business that actually works, which means you need to have your ad, which looks like this, straight line with your landing page, which then straight lines with your emails, which then straight lines with your sales process. It's a cog in a wheel, and that cog in that wheel is connected to another wheel that's also spinning very efficiently, okay? And they're working together. It's very, very streamlined. It's the Henry Ford, right, production line back in the day when no one was able to produce as many cars as him. Why? Because he streamlined the production process. And this is the key. He made these micro optimizations to get the most efficiency to make the most cars humanly possible back then, which is why he was able to dominate the car marketplace. Because his business was a streamlined production. His funnel right? His manufacturing process, his building process, his employees process. He made these micro optimizations to every step in the funnel. And if you fail to do these things first and you just expect that the ads are magically going to convert, it's not, because your business isn't really actually streamlined. You see, the key to scaling ads on YouTube, okay, right now is not the ads. It's your landing page, it's your funnel, it's your application, okay? It's your VSL, it's your emails, all right? It's your show up rate, it's your click-through rate on those emails, it's your pre-call homework videos, it's your outbound process, it's your setting process, it's your show up rate, it's your call conversion rate, it's your pitch. It's all of those things. Because if any one of these cogs is not working, guess what? Your ad doesn't work. Your business doesn't make money, or at least as much money as it should. So you have to actually focus on the things that are after the ads to make the ads work. And most people don't tell you that. Most people just tell you these micro optimizations that you got to make in the ad account. You got to do these crazy combinations of lookalike audiences and, combinations of segments and all these other things, when this guy over here is just spending money hand over fist, printing cash, cold hard cash, while you can't even get one campaign to work, because your business probably looks like this when it needs to look like this, okay? And so if you have that, great. Let's move to step 3 here. The 3 stages of scaling and why if you skip even one of these, you'll kill your ads performance. So when you first launch a campaign, your campaign does what's called learning, okay? Whenever you launch a new YouTube ads campaign, Google's algorithm will need at least 7 days to learn who the hell you're targeting, who you're trying to optimize for, what conversion goals you're trying to get. And so changing anything inside your campaigns at this stage is not recommended whatsoever. And a lot of people do this, unfortunately, because they don't actually know what they're doing. And so this is a screenshot of what actually it looks like inside your ads account. And it literally tells you new bid strategy is learning. Google Ads is optimizing your new bid strategy. Performance may improve further. No action is needed at this time, my friend. Don't touch me, please. And it tells you the amount of days left for learning. And so at this stage, you just want to launch your initial creatives and wait a minimum of 7 days. Okay, so by now, I'm assuming you already have ads that you've created, right? You've got your scripts, you filmed them, you've edited the videos, you've launched them in a campaign, and now you're actually testing, all right? You want to wait a minimum of 7 days before making any changes. And if you're using max conversions, which we typically recommend for most clients when they're kicking off for the first time, you want to wait 1 week, 3 to 7 days before optimizing any campaigns. And this is per Google Ads practices, by the way. Okay, so you can see here there's a common theme. 7 days, right? Target CPA, if you launch with that, which is another bidding strategy that you typically use after max conversions. After any change, monitor performance for 7 to 14 days before following the optimization tips for target CPA bidding. So it even tells you once again, right? You want to wait 7 days, 7 to 14 days before making any changes, okay? And if you're running a call funnel, this is especially true for you because we typically recommend waiting at least 7 to 14 days before making any major changes due to what we call the lead to purchase window. What is that, Brian? It means how long it takes you as a business to acquire one lead and get them to actually make their first purchase. And if you don't know that number, you're going to have a very hard time scaling because you're going to be making decisions based off of gut and feel versus true data from your business to know how long it takes you to actually get one lead to convert into their first purchase. So you want to calculate that, right? That's for another video. And on average, we see our clients' lead to purchase windows being 50% within the first 14 days, meaning when they run ads on YouTube, they get their first lead, okay, or leads, and within 14 days, 50% of those leads end up buying from their book a call funnel for their high ticket offer, regardless of the niche, regardless of the industry, right? But the other 50% being within the 14 to 60 day plus window, okay, which is a wide range, right? Obviously, day 14 to 60 days plus is a long time. But as you can imagine, those people that are buying after day 14 to day 60 and beyond, they're in a different stage of the buyer's journey, a different stage of the customer journey. Their awareness isn't as sophisticated as someone who's going to buy within the first 14 days because they're still maybe shopping around. They're still maybe not as sold on what you're offering. All right? So it's very important that you understand this concept because if you're just expecting everybody to buy right away within the first day, you're going to be shooting yourself in the foot. Literally shooting yourself in the foot. So waiting till day 14 to make any optimizations makes sense since we'll have calls taken and see what needs optimizing in your ads, okay, or your funnel. and your sales process. All of these things right here to make scaling easy, which means you need at least 14 days of data, especially if you're running a call funnel, right? To know what you got to do. Even if it's a webinar, same thing's true, okay? Is it the landing page that's the bottleneck? Is it the emails? Is it the sales process? Now, of course, there's rules to this exception, and I'll get into that in a second. If you're spending thousands of dollars a day, right? Like $10,000 a day, do you really need to wait 7 to 14 days? Of course not, okay? Of course not. But you'd be surprised how many people, right, come to us and they spend in consulting or whatever, and they're like, I spent $500. It's not working. Crazy, man, crazy. So obviously, the more money you spend, the easier it is to acquire data quicker, which means you don't need to wait 7 to 14 days. But the rule still tends to be true regardless, because this is according to Google Ads best practices. But of course, you spend 10K a day, you can know what's working pretty quickly. But you still got to make sure that all this is optimized. You still got to make sure that this is obviously going to be optimized. And that takes a little bit of time, point being, okay? So you don't want to shoot yourself in the foot by changing a bunch of shit that you set up in the first 7 days, right? You don't want to shoot yourself in the foot, because you got to have the algorithm learn. Now, optimizing phase, okay? In this phase, this is after you've tested, okay? You've tested, and now you see what the data shows you on these different pieces in your system, in your funnel. Now you can start making optimizations, all right? You waited the 14 days, congratulations. Now, optimizing phase. In this phase, you maintain a consistent budget while continuously refining your ad account, right? You are turning off campaigns that fall out of KPI and launching new ones to replace them. That's literally all you're doing, okay? Same thing with the creatives as well. So how do you actually optimize? What should you do? Well, there's something that we call the order of optimization, okay? This is literally the order of optimization you should be going through whenever you're making changes to your YouTube ads. Number one, it's offer improvements. The biggest domino you could do: offer, messaging, promise, claim, what you're actually offering. Biggest domino you can pull, right? First one you should start with in most cases. Number two, major funnel changes. Major funnel changes. So we're talking about going from a VSL book a call funnel. Cost per call is like 3-4x. It's not going to be conducive to actually getting you profitable to your goals as a client. Immediately switch you to webinar. Immediately. Change it out. Boom. Not going to wait any longer. Doesn't make sense. Got to make you money as a client. Switch it to a webinar. Webinar's not working. Maybe it's working on Facebook. YouTube's just too high. Challenge funnel. Get you on a challenge funnel right there, right? And all of these different conversion mechanisms and funnel types and structures, okay, you got to have ready to deploy depending on where you are, right? Again, notice I'm not talking about media buying yet. Okay, there's bigger dominoes to optimize. Next, new and better creative. Still not media buying, new and better creative, which really ties into the offer, your messaging and your offer. So new and better creative, third order optimization. Number four, media buying tactics and strategies. Finally, there you are, media buying tactics and strategies, okay? What does that mean? New ad strategies, right? Using what we call like the in-feed video campaign strategy, using ad sequencing, using remarketing campaigns, direct response ads, in-feed with direct response ads, like all these strategies that we post on our content that you can watch on our channel, these different YouTube ad strategies, all right? And we talk about them a lot more in our mastermind, by the way, if you're someone who's already spending money on YouTube ads, you want to scale. Audience testing, okay? What audiences you can actually test next that might be better? Maybe you're just testing the wrong audience. Bidding strategies. Maybe you're using max conversions. Target CPA would be better. Or maybe you started with target CPA because you didn't know what you were doing, and you switched to max conversions, right? Because your target CPA weren't spending. Happens a lot. You'd be surprised. Conversion events and optimization. Maybe you're optimizing for opt-ins, but you're trying to get book calls. So instead of telling Google you want calls, you're telling Google you want leads, right? But you really want calls. So then you can make optimizations, giving you enough volume and enough data for Google to actually feed the algorithm to then start optimizing for calls, right? Going after the actual conversion goal you want. Right? That's last, obviously. Now, once you've done this, you've order of optimization, made these changes, now you go to scaling, okay? Scaling, there's two types of ways to scale. Very simple. You don't got to overcomplicate this. There is details in this that we obviously talk about in like our masterminds, or we obviously do for our agency clients that work with us, and we scale all their ads for them. But for the sake of this video, vertical scaling. You increase the budgets to campaigns within KPI. Something's working, you push more budget, right? Not rocket science. Number two, horizontal scaling. Something's working, you duplicate it, and you test new audiences, new ad variations, new ad angles, and other strategies like our YouTube ads, organic in-feed campaign, okay? Our YouTube organic in-feed ad strategy. How to grow your YouTube channel while getting super cheap cost per marketing qualified calls on your calendar by using this in-feed strategy, right? That's on my channel. You can go watch that. That's the scaling phase, testing out new strategies on YouTube as well to get even more performance. Adding remarketing, right? Display, discovery, Gmail ads, these omnipresent strategies to really take your brand to the next level, and even remarket to the people that are on Facebook that didn't convert. All of these things we deploy at the scaling phase. Once we have proof of concept, right? You don't go here first when you haven't even got past the testing window and found something that works. Again, if it's not working and not profitable, you want to make sure you fix this by doing this, optimizing all this, and then coming here, okay? Now, once you've done that, okay, let's say you've tested it, you're optimizing, what do you actually look at? The only metrics you should be looking at and how to make data-driven decisions are as follows, okay? You want to look at metrics that matter. So we want to review data from right to left. What does that mean, right to left? Well, at the right of our tracking sheets, it's sales, it's ROAS, it's cash. That's what we're looking at. Actual revenue, like numbers, money in the bank. How much do we actually collect from these ads? That's what we look at. So, but beyond that, if the cost per lead is high, right? But the cost per book call is within acceptable limits and it's affordable for your campaign and for your offer and for your unit economics as a client, then continue with that campaign, right? So again, call is greater than lead in order of importance to look at, right to left. But beyond that, before that I should say, if the cost per book call is high, but the ROAS is strong, maintain the campaign, meaning your return on ad spend in cash is greater than your call cost, is greater than your lead cost. Your total ROAS on revenue, in most cases, is greater than your call cost and greater than your lead cost. Obviously, the input's calls, obviously the input's lead, but if you're able to get a good ROAS on cash and on total revenue, and your business can afford to spend that because you'll know in 1, 2 months, 3 months, that kind of lead to purchase window, more importantly, how much your lifetime gross profit per client and your average cost per acquisition is, you can afford to spend more money. You got to know these numbers though. That's why we write it from right to left. So very simple here on your tracking sheet, you got to be measuring how much you're actually collecting in upfront cash, how much you're collecting in upfront ROAS, right? This is an example here, right? Upfront ROAS, revenue ROAS, cost per acquisition, upfront cash, revenue, okay? Just an example. Notice lead and call comes after that. Now on the left side of the tracking sheet, that's where you have click-through rate. That's where you have cost per click. That's where you have cost per 1,000 impressions, right? We rarely look at these things initially. Okay, we're only looking at the right, cash, revenue, ROAS. But if all those things are obviously not working, okay, there's no cash, there's no calls, there's no revenue, then you got to look at these things. But typically, it's a lot more to do with your system. So what does that mean? Well, it's usually never the actual ads that are the issue. It's usually never the ads that are the actual issue. Again, the ads' purpose is to get leads, right? But if you're sending people to a shitty conversion mechanism that's not optimized, that looks like crap, they're never going to become a lead. And if they do, it's going to cost you a bunch of money because this isn't optimized compared to something like this. Streamlined production process, streamlined fulfillment system, streamlined sales process, streamlined sales funnel, optimized, right? So you got to obviously make sure you've taken this to this. So then we look at the actual click-through rate, because if ads are getting clicks and everything's, within KPI on this side, it's over here. Like you got to focus on the right stuff. Again, you really shouldn't be looking at that stuff unless you don't have anything over here, but typically it's the offer. Again, order of importance, offer improvements, major funnel changes, new and better creative, and then finally media buying tactics and strategies, because usually the ads are typically working. So now let's talk about the media buying workflow. So once you've analyzed the data, you read it from right to left, you've seen what actually is working versus what's not, and you've adjusted order of optimization first before actually adjusting inside the accounts. Here's what you do when you're actually media buying. Here's the secret sauce, right? You want to scan your campaigns. And again, there shouldn't be many campaigns, especially when you're in the testing phase, a couple, like 3 or 4 or 5 campaigns max that you're testing, a couple $100 a day, obviously, 300, 400, 500. And then note any out of these that are outside of KPI. So if your cost per marketing qualified call target is at least $250, but you're getting $1,000 cost per marketing qualified calls in one campaign versus the other, obviously that's outside of KPI, right? But if you have a campaign, for example, within KPI, within 4 days, so let's say it's like, you're one of those guys that's like, okay, I'm listening to Brian, 7 days, I gotta wait. And then by day 4, you're like, this one's like a $500 cost per marketing qualified call. I'm going for 250. What should I do? Leave it. Because it's trending up. And if remember, right, we want to prioritize the most recent data. So if it goes from, for example, 1,000, day 1, day 4 is like 500, You want to keep it, obviously, right? It's trending downward in this case, not trending up, but downward. If not, continue on, right? So if you've looked at that and if out of the campaign is out of a 4-day KPI and 7-day KPI, so for example, 7 days come around, it's still $1,000, then you want to check 14 days. Okay, so now you've let the campaign run for 14 days. It's still out of KPI, you just cut it. Cut it. If it is within KPI, you check the 30-day KPI, right? If the 30-day KPI is within KPI, then you leave this campaign for 5 to 7 more days. Then you make a decision. Because out of the 30-day window here, knowing your lead to purchase window is, let's say, 50% 14 days, the other 50% within 14 to 60 days plus, but within 30 days, this campaign is within KPI in terms of cost per marketing qualified call, right? And it's producing revenue and ROAS that's healthy for your business, that's doable to scale, then you want to leave it, right? You want to leave it again before making a decision. If the 30-day KPI is outside of KPI, then cut it, right? And you would obviously typically do this before it gets to 30 days. So very simple here. You don't want to overcomplicate that. If you have any questions, obviously, that's what we have our mastermind and obviously our agency for if you want us to do this for you. Now, the 80-20 rule for testing new ads, okay? So once you've got the media buying on lock, you've order of optimization, went to your offer first, your funnel first, new ad strategies as well. Then you've obviously optimized your media buying. How do you actually go about media buying efficiently, right? Very simple here. 80% of your budget should be pushed towards what's working. Okay, you got to control ad. You got to control campaign and audience combination that's actually profitable for the business. You want to make sure you just push more budget, 80% of it at least, to those winning ads and those winning audiences, and just keep vertically scaling those. And according to your calendar availability, by the way, if you're using a call funnel. Now, 20% of your budget should be used for testing, okay? You should always have 20% at minimum, at least used for testing. Testing what? Testing new funnels. Maybe you want to split test something with your VSL book a call funnel. Maybe you want to split test getting rid of the opt-in, going straight to the application in VSL, right? Or just going straight to the booking page. Maybe you just want to test a different funnel completely. Maybe you want to say, okay, we got the VSL book a call funnel working. Now we want to go for the webinar. All right, let's adjust some budget now. Let's take some of the profit from this VSL funnel. Let's test the webinar because we want to be able to have a different conversion mechanism as well. Maybe you want to test new ad variations, right? You got a winning ad right here. It's working. Test new variations, right? I have a video on my channel that's coming out pretty soon after this one, talking about exactly how to create thousands of iterations of a winning ad to create many dozens of control ads. Press subscribe to watch that one. New ad angles. You got a winning ad, but you want to test a new concept, okay? Concept angle. What's the difference? Variation's a different iteration. Variation's saying something that's the same thing in a different way, a new spin on it. An angle or a concept in this case is a totally different message, totally different type of basically pitch, right? It's almost like me saying, you as a business owner, are you tired of having all your eggs in the Facebook basket, right? Knowing that at any time, Mark Zuckerberg and his dozens and dozens of Facebook employees can just press your ad account disabled at a moment's notice and boom, your business is gone. Doesn't have any lead flow, doesn't have any calls coming in, your closing team's quitting, and you're like, dude, what the heck just happened, right? Pain, future pacing, maybe making you revisit what happened in the past, right? Having you relive those experiences. That's one concept, one angle, versus another concept or angle such as, look, Facebook works and it's always going to continue working. Yeah, you might have disapprovals. Yeah, you might have some ads that get disabled, but here's the thing. You know as well as I do, it doesn't matter because you're going to keep running Facebook, obviously. But you would like to know that you could have a second traffic channel, one that can be just as scalable, one that could be, if not even more profitable, and one that can help you even grow your brand faster, right? Because you're not really worried about Facebook banning your account. It's happened, but you've gotten it back, right? You just want to have a second channel you can add to your business to scale even further and faster and grow your business, reach more people, make more impact, but you don't know how to get YouTube ads set up and running. And you want someone to do it like me who can do it in 7 days or less. For your business, you can start generating leads in just a few weeks, just a few calls in just a few weeks, just a few sales in just a few weeks, right? Different concept, different angle, okay? That's the difference. New audiences. So obviously new audience is very simple. New bidding strategies, max conversions versus target CPA versus performance max versus max conversion value, different things you can obviously deploy here, usually last on the totem pole. This allows you to maintain momentum while also finding new ways to improve your entire marketing system as a whole, okay? Remember, not just your ads. The key to scaling YouTube ads, 0 to 10K a day. You see the general theme here, right? More than just immediate buying. So now let's talk about horizontal scaling versus vertical scaling more in depth. So horizontal scaling. Again, when you have a winning ad campaign, okay, you can scale it by duplicating it and testing. Again, new ad variations. So let's say you have that one winning control ad, you test a new hook, you test a new body, a new story, you test a new variation of it. The way you do that with a new maybe demographic, a different person filming it, a different setting of where you filmed it, a different means of filming it. For example, I'm filming it on my camera here. Maybe I do my iPhone, right? A different variation. You put those new variations inside a new campaign. You duplicate the original, have a new campaign, new variations go in the new campaign, you split test them side by side. Which one works better? Do you find another winning ad, right? New ad angles, same thing as before. You duplicate the campaign, put the new angles in the new duplicated campaign. New audiences in the new duplicated campaign. New bidding strategies. Maybe you want to test max conversions with a control versus TCPA with the new campaign, the duplicated campaign. Which one works better? We do this all the time, right? Worth testing. New campaign settings. You duplicate the campaign that's working, and maybe you test, okay, I'm only going to target 25 to 34. Most of my highest qualified clients, the ones that pay me the most, the ones that I love working with, the ones that don't give me any objections and are the highest LTV for my business are 25 to 34 males, right? Maybe that's the case for you. You can split test that, put that in the campaign by itself. Maybe you want to test a different location. So for example, if you're advertising in the US, maybe you duplicate that campaign and now go to tier 2 level countries, Canada, Australia, New Zealand, right? Other English-speaking countries outside the US to see if your ads, your funnel, and your system and your marketing will convert, if not better, in these other countries and see how they do, right? Next would be optimized targeting. So what this means is you duplicate the campaign and you say, hey, Google, I want you to find way more people, as many people as possible who are optimized just like the audience I'm targeting right here that are similar to these people that I'm trying to target. Find me more of those, right? Google says, great, I'll go find way more people just like this. And then you see, is it going to be better? Is it going to be worse, right? You split test those variables. The next is vertical scaling. So when you have a winning campaign, you scale it by increasing budget. Simple. You just increase more budget. So you'll hear people recommend 20 to 30% per day or per week, right? I've doubled budgets before and had it work just as fine, just as well, without everything breaking, okay? But the real answer here, especially for those of you that are running like book a call funnels, right, is dependent upon your calendar availability if you're using a book a call funnel, for example, or your actual offer and your total addressable market for your offer, right? Because, for example, I have a client right now in the Italian market, and he was telling me before he started working with us, yeah, like whenever I try to scale past like 2K a day on Facebook, everything starts breaking. He's like, I just don't know if my market's big enough, right? And I was like, well, dude, that's exactly why you need to do YouTube, because you're not even targeting the Italian market with YouTube ads right now. So instead of trying to scale on Facebook past 2K a day, wouldn't it be easier to just add a second traffic channel to get to another 1K a day, which he's at now, right? So imagine being able to just duplicate that spend by just adding a second channel. Now, does that mean he can't scale past 2K a day on Facebook? Of course not, right? But he will be limited because if he's targeting, for example, business owners in Italy, there's only a certain amount of business owners in Italy that he can actually target with his ads that will actually be interested in his offer, who are already aware of wanting to grow their business with an offer like his. You see? So he will be limited inherently by that demographic and by who he's targeting. So by adding a second channel instead, like YouTube ads, he's able to get in front of the same audience on a different platform and get them to know, like, and trust him a lot faster without having to keep running into scaling issues on Facebook. So again, doubling budgets or just increasing budget is dependent upon those factors as well. So keep that in mind. For example, another book a call funnel versus the masses versus like book a call funnel for like someone who wants to be who wants to make more money online with trading, for example. Mass offer. More people want to make money online, right? A majority of those people would be interested in how to make money day trading from the comfort of their own home on their computer without having to go outside and see sun or daylight whatsoever, versus an offer like a call funnel for women with type 2 diabetes, right? A very specific type of demographic. And let's just say they're a very specific type of ethnicity as well, a lot smaller than anyone who just wants to make money online, right? A lot smaller. So just use your obviously logic there. Completely different TAM and the actual scale into the budget, right? So if you're using a call funnel, increasing budget only makes sense if you have calendar availability. And this is actually something I learned from my good friend Cole Gordon a while back when I was like bro, you're profitable like 4 years ago. I was like, dude, you're profitable. Like this is crushing. I helped him basically maximize what he was doing on YouTube ads. Like he wasn't doing any of these strategies I'm telling you right now. And like I just gave him a few things from a consulting capacity that helped him make an extra $100,000 a month minimum in his business for his B2C offer at that time. And he was like, yeah, dude, I just can't like double the budgets though, Brian. And I was like, why not? And he was like, because dude, every time I double the budget, I got to bring on a new closer. I got to have calendar availability. It's not that simple. I got to make sure I have another CSM to take care of the amount of people that new closer enrolls into our program, my fulfillment system, all these things, right? And so you wouldn't push more budget to one closer if he's already booked for 3 to 4 days out, right? And you have no slots available. It just wouldn't make sense. So you have to begin analyzing your calendar availability and efficiency for your ad spend if you're using a book a call funnel, right? If you're just selling like a low ticket type offer that's just like a one-time purchase, there's no like salesperson, there's no friction, they can just buy it right away. Obviously, you can just keep doubling budgets. I've done this. Like when I was running ads for Dean Graziosi back in the day, and we were running and spending $50,000 a day, and I was just waking up and checking my Google ads on my phone, and I was just like, this is great. Double this, double that, turn off this, test this, tweak that. There wasn't any salesperson I had to think about. It was an evergreen offer. It was a low ticket, free plus shipping book a call funnel that someone would click the ad, go to a sales page, and they would be able to buy right then and there. Very easy, right? So I didn't have to worry about these things. So if you're someone like that, then again, don't worry about this. But if you're using a book a call funnel, here's an inside trader tip for you, okay? To analyze the calendar availability and to know how much you should actually spend more on ads, you want to take your average cost per marketing qualified call. Then you want to multiply your average cost per marketing qualified call by about 3 to 3.5x. Okay, this is a good rule of thumb, 3.5x. Now, that's roughly the daily budget you need to spend to fill a new closer's calendar, roughly. Now, again, your business might be different. It might be 2, it might be 3, it might be 3.5. You got to really dive into the analytics here, the data to actually know this true number. And if you don't, well, just use this as a rule of thumb, but you want to actually know this by like staring at the data and like micro obsessing on it. That's roughly the daily budget you should spend to fill a new closer's calendar. One of my clients recently was like, dude, I have this new closer that's like really ready to go, but I have this other guy who also is just as good. And like, I want to bring him on too, to diversify my closers, like basically risk. So if this guy doesn't work out, I can hire on this guy. But like, is it too soon for me to hire on this other guy before this guy's ramped up? And I was like, you need to hire both right now and just increase the ad spend to fill both of their calendars. That's the way you solve that problem, because it's not a bad thing to have 2 closers that want to work with you. The only downside is you have to spend more money to fill their calendars. That's the risk you have to take as a business owner sometimes. But wouldn't it be better that you get both of their calendars full and they're both closing and they're both doubling your business versus you bring on one and you wait for this other guy and then this guy doesn't work out and then this guy's already delayed because you had to wait 30 days to bring him on, and then you have the same call volume, the same amount of sales, and it takes just as much time. Like it's just as hard. So what I told him to do was literally this exact equation, okay? 3.5x times your average marketing qualified call, and now you have enough to fill your closer's calendar. Of course, he had to tweak that number to adjust for his business specifically, which we helped him do. So now, once you've obviously seen how we obviously media buy and optimize these things, here's a good rule of thumb for you in terms of ad spend levels and what you should be focused on. And building your creating production pipeline, which is the real key to scaling to like 10K a day and beyond, okay? So ad spend levels. And again, I'm just like giving you guys all the sauce right now. So if you're watching this video and you're liking it, give it a thumbs up. I would really appreciate that. And make sure to press subscribe if you haven't already. Ad spend levels, okay? Here's a general framework of where to put your focus depending on where your business is at currently, all right? If you're spending like 0 to 2K a day, okay? Like I'm talking about like, you're someone who's like, you know, barely really actually spending a lot of money, which is probably the majority of you, you know, the majority of you watching this, aspiring to get to that 10K a day. You really just have one problem you're solving, one message, I should say, one offer to one market that you're targeting. And you should have like 5 to 10 ads. This is obviously a range, 5 to 10 ads, like roughly, right? Not that many. Like this is just a rough estimate. Could be more, for sure, 100%. 2 to 5K a day, one problem again that you're solving to the same market, 10 to 30 plus ads and variations of those ads, okay? This could be a mix of control ads as well versus variations. 5 to 8K a day, one problem you're solving to one market you're targeting, 30 to 100 plus ads and variations. 8 to 10K a day, you're solving the same problem to the same market, but you're testing hundreds and hundreds of ads and variations. This is exactly what I did when I was working full-time for Dean Graziosi, which is why I learned this concept very early on, and we've applied it to all of our clients that we work with, because you have to be able to scale through creative testing, especially when you're spending this amount of money per day. Okay? Because your number of creatives you have to be testing goes exponentially up the more money you spend to the same audience with the same offer in a small amount of time. And so at one point with Dean, with that one offer, we had like 127 plus different ads for one offer, dozens of variations, dozens of them that we were testing weekly, monthly, right? Just continuing to iterate. That's how we were able to spend like 50K a day at one point and not have any signs of slowing down. It was just printing money, feeding the back end, high ticket. But we had all of these dozens of variations of ads. So now, how do you actually implement that though, right? Very simple. I'm not going to show you the behind the scenes. We'll save that for the mastermind, obviously, if you're a client of ours. But like, you just got to put up a very simple project management system, whatever you use, Asana, ClickUp, Monday, Trello. You just meet with your team once a week with what ideas you have. You put them to be tested if they're a good idea. If it's ready to go, you put it in needs review. Once you approve it, you test it, right? You make sure you put it in the currently testing phase. 7 to 14 days after it's tested. If it's working, put it in the currently running. It's a control. If it's not working, it's a failed test. Cost per marketing qualified leads way too high. We went through the media buying optimizations right here. You move it to failed test. Or if it stopped working, but it was running as a control, you put it to stopped working. Very simple. You got to do that every single week. You got to work with an agency that knows what they're doing. You got to work with a team that knows how to do it, or you got to start implementing this for your team. Okay. So again, if you found this valuable, give it a thumbs up. Leave a comment down below if you have any questions. And if you're a business owner who wants me and my team to scale all your YouTube ads for you, maybe you're already running ads on Facebook and you want to add YouTube ads as a second traffic channel to scale even further and faster, I would encourage you to click the link in the description, apply to work with my agency. Or if you're someone who wants to work with me and my team on a consulting basis, maybe you already have a team in-house, if you want to get them trained up as good as this, like me and my team, as if they were running your ads for you, then go ahead and click the link and apply to join our mastermind. And I'll see you in the next video. Cheers.